and welcome to my channel. I've just been out I just went for a walk to Tesco, so I still got my coat on and I can't be asked to take it off, so that's why I look like I'm dressed for the outdoors. I've just come back inside. The video for today then, I'm going to be doing a review, a sort of summary review of the National Geographic. I don't often get the National Geographic. I actually think this must be the first time I've actually bought the magazine, because I do sometimes read their articles, but I read them online on their website. And the reason I bought it is because I couldn't resist, because it was a Blue Zones special. I'll come on to what the Blue Zones are in a minute. Blue Zones, the Science of Living Longer. And it's a food edition, Eat Like the World's Longest Lived People, and it's all about how to make healthy choices in your diet. So that's the magazine I'm going to be, I hope you can see it clearly, that's the magazine I'm going to be reviewing now as a sort of summary review on this magazine, sort of summary review. So it should be in about sort of like 2 parts. Okay, I read this a couple of weeks ago, so now I'm going to summarise it. Now, this magazine, it discusses the diets of the world's longest lived peoples. Now, obviously, as you will be aware, but I'll say it again because if you're new to my channel, you might not be aware. Those who are used to my channel will probably already know this. Food, cooking, diet is one of my really strong areas of intense interest, as it's something I'm very passionate about and very interested in and spend a lot of my time thinking about. So obviously, I could not resist buying that magazine. I read with interest, as I would like to incorporate some of the ideas into my own diet, although I was pleased to discover that I already eat in some quantity, at least some of the foods discussed. I think my diet is pretty good. I think, you know, if a dietitian or nutritionist assess my diet, they probably would say it's a very healthy diet. I'm confident they would, but there's always room for improvements. I don't think you can ever have a too healthy diet. There's always room for improvement, and as I'm a perfectionist, I want to make sure I get things ship shape. So yeah, so as I said, I was pleased to cover quite a few of the foods I already eat are covered in there, but there are some foods in there I don't eat that much of and I'd like to eat more of, particularly now I know of their health benefits. So what are the Blue Zones, really? You might already have heard of the Blue Zones, but if you haven't, I'll explain it now. The Blue Zones are areas of the world map that have been circled in blue ink in order to highlight those parts of the world that are home to the longest lived people. And I don't think it's simply because they have a very good diet. I mean, diet plays a big role, but it can't just be their diet. It's the whole environment that they live in, really, the atmosphere. A lot of these places are islands, so you're going to have some, you know, the air quality is probably going to be quite clean. And they're also quite rural communities that take a lot of exercise. So it's not just as simple as saying it's their diet, but they do have very, very good diets that are very unprocessed and seasonal and obviously very nutritious. Now, the Blue Zones include the Greek island, Icaria, Okinawa in Japan, Sardinia in Italy, Loma Linda in California, and Costa Rica in the Nicoyan Peninsula in America. So I will now run through the foods and diets that make these areas special as highlighted in this magazine here. Here we go, it's a magazine I was reading. Now, firstly again, starting with the Greek island of Icaria. Now, Icarians, interestingly, eat a lot of potatoes, which are full of potassium for healthy blood pressure, goat's milk, which contains tryptophan, that is converted into serotonin, that's the relaxation chemical, honey, a natural antibacterial, legumes such as lentils for fibre and protein, wild greens and small amounts of fish. In a sense, that is the basic Mediterranean diet in a nutshell. They also eat a fair amount of nuts as well, and olive oil. Now, in the West, potatoes often get a bad press as being calorific and a cause of obesity. But actually, this most likely refers to the way we process potatoes and the way we coat them in vegetable oil or remove their skins, which is the main source of fibre and minerals. Because clearly, vegetarians who consume a lot of potatoes, they eat them every day, are doing pretty well on it and are living very long lives. So it can't be potatoes now, can it? In Icaria, a typical meal includes freshly picked wild greens, often from their garden, potatoes, feta cheese made with local goat's milk, fermented goat's milk, and homemade sourdough bread. As you can see, it is minimally processed, fresh, and local ingredients that are the mainstay of this Mediterranean diet. Interestingly, due to the rough seas, they only eat fish rarely. For example, those living in the mountains only eat fish once or twice a month. This shows that a healthy diet does not have to include a lot of fish, because we're often told, about health benefits of fish, and certainly fish does contain health benefits, in the form of omega-3 fatty acids, but it's not essential to a healthy diet. Fish is only one ingredient of a healthy diet, and it would only be healthy if the whole diet is healthy, because no food in isolation can be seen as conferring health benefits. You could be eating a lot of a healthy food, but if the rest of your diet is crap, then it's not really going to make much of a difference. And you can have a very healthy diet and exclude any one component of a potentially healthy diet and still be healthy. So you don't have to have fish. And this is an example where, although they do eat fish, they don't eat it that much and are still very healthy, because the rest of their diet is incredibly healthy and because of the whole context. Now, they also only eat meat once a week, so they're virtually vegetarians a lot of the time, and poultry twice a week. At least half of the week, as I said, they are vegetarians. Interestingly, they add honey to their tea. However, the honey is no ordinary honey. It's not like the honey we often consume. It's very cheap and not really necessarily very nutritious. This honey comes from the island itself and it's very high in nutrition. So it's not just any old honey. So I don't think this is necessarily an excuse to go and eat a lot of honey, because it's the whole context that's important. Now, I was most surprised to read how much olive oil they consume. Bearing in mind this is in place of butter and other saturated fats. So you're not having olive oil on top of butter and saturated fats, you're having olive oil instead of. And they consume at least 4 tablespoons a day. It sounds like a lot, but as I said, it's in place of butter. And when you think how much butter we consume, often butter we don't see because it's included in foods. We would be consuming a lot more butter than that, and butter's a saturated fat. This is unsaturated. And this protects them from heart disease. I am now trying to increase the amount of olive oil that I consume. I already consume quite a lot of olive oil anyway, as I do add it to a lot of my cooking, but I want to try and increase the amount I consume, and I also want to try and increase the amount I consume in its uncooked state, because it's meant to be better for you. I'm just going to turn the light on because I just think it's gone a bit dark in here. Bear with me. That's better. I might have been, in the dark there. Hope that's better, more light now. Sorry, I was going back to, yes. So I do want to try and consume more olive oil in my diet, particularly in its uncooked state. Other parts of their diet include eating a lot of chickpeas and lemons. They put lemon juice in everything. Now, moving on now to Okinawa in Japan. I was interested to read that by eating turmeric as sweet potato, they eat a lot of turmeric as sweet potato in Okinawa, you can put your body into what's called caloric restriction mode. Now, free radicals are byproducts of a digestive process. So every time we eat, as a byproduct of that, our bodies produce free radicals. And these are responsible for the aging process. And they can destroy cells, and they can result in premature aging, which is another reason why people who eat a lot, particularly eat a lot of the wrong foods, are also going to age prematurely. But by eating certain foods, you can put your body into caloric restriction mode. In caloric restriction, cells produce less energy, so there are fewer free radicals, and this slows aging. Sweet potatoes and turmeric turn on genetic triggers that minimise the production of free radicals without experiencing a hunger that comes from fasting. So when you have a lot of sweet potatoes or turmeric in your diet, in a sense, your body, it mimics the state you're in when you're fasting, but without experiencing hunger. So that's great, isn't it? So I would like to increase the amount of sweet potatoes in my diet, because I don't have too many of them. As I say, my diet's pretty good, but there is room for improvement, so I want to try and increase the amount of sweet potatoes in my diet. Right, I'm going to be moving on now to part 2 of this summary review. So moving on to part 2 now.